There's a man sitting on a crowded train, headphones in, the city rushing past the window. He looks calm, maybe even distracted, but then he sees something, a stranger's coat in the same color you used to wear, and for a fleeting moment, the world slows down. He isn't looking at that stranger anymore. He's remembering you, or maybe it's a woman walking home late at night. She passes a bakery, and the smell of fresh bread rises into the cold air. Suddenly, she's not on that street anymore. She's back in a kitchen with you, laughing, teasing each other, breaking pieces of bread with your hands. Life has this strange way of carrying us forward while dragging shadows of the past behind us. We assume people forget us once they walk away, once the last conversation is spoken, once silence settles in. But that's not how memory works. That's not how human attachment works. Even when relationships fracture, even when people vanish into their own busy lives, there are threads that remain uncut, invisible strings of thought, echoes that find their way back to us today. I want to explore something rarely spoken out loud, but deeply felt, the subtle, almost hidden signs that someone is still thinking about you. Not because they told you, not because they confessed it, but because the human mind cannot fully let go of someone who mattered. Psychologists, philosophers, even poets across centuries have touched on this. Jung wrote that what we repress doesn't disappear, it returns in disguised forms. Nietzsche argued that memories live on as embodied emotions, shaping us long after we think we've moved on. Buddhist thought suggests that attachment leaves an imprint, like footprints in wet sand, fading maybe, but never truly erased. So, what are these imprints? What are the invisible signs that you linger in someone's thoughts, even if you've been separated by silence, distance, or time? Let's unfold this together. Sign 1. The language of mirrorings. The first sign is subtle. It hides in speech, in gestures, in the smallest echoes of behavior. Someone who still thinks of you may unconsciously begin to mirror you. Imagine this. Weeks or months after you last spoke, you stumble upon a post they've written, and suddenly, they're using that odd phrase you always used. Or perhaps you notice their playlists have shifted, strangely filled with songs you once played on repeat. Maybe they've taken up a habit you used to love, reading late into the night or running at dawn. This isn't coincidence, it's residue. Neurologists call it emotional imprinting. When we share time with someone, our neural patterns overlap. Their voice becomes a rhythm in our head. Their laughter becomes a reference point for joy. Their way of framing the world leaves dents in our own perception. And when they're gone, the imprint doesn't vanish. It resurfaces as mirroring. Philosophically, this raises an interesting idea. Are we ever truly individuals, or are we mosaics made of everyone we've loved, everyone we've lost? Sartre argued that identity is relational. We become who we are through the gaze of others, which means if someone mirrors you, it isn't just about memory, it's about identity itself. A part of you has lodged itself inside them, whether they like it or not. So, when you notice mirroring their words, their tastes, their habits folding into yours, recognize it for what it is, a sign that you are still alive in their mind. Sign 2, the weight of emotional residue. Second sign isn't visible in behavior, but in reaction. It's in the way someone flinches when your name comes up, the way their voice hardens or softens when a mutual memory surfaces, the way their mood shifts ever so slightly. When reminded of you, this is what I call emotional residue. Emotions aren't fleeting sparks, they're chemical, embodied. When we love, when we fight, when we share pieces of our soul with another person, our bodies record it. Trauma studies showed this vividly. The body keeps score, but so does love. That's why a song can break someone open years later. That's why a city can feel haunted, not by ghosts, but by laughter and arguments that once filled its streets. That's why someone who claims they're over you can still feel their stomach tighten when your face appears on a screen. In Buddhism, there's a phrase, attachment is carving on stone. Even when the water of time flows over it, the grooves remain so. If someone reacts sharply to reminders of you, anger, nostalgia, even indifference laced with tension, that's not neutrality, that's residue. It means your presence has marked them, and that mark refuses to fade. Sign 3, the fabricated coincidence. The third sign is one of the most telling. Someone who thinks of you often will find excuses then. Fragile excuses to create contact. It might be a late-night message. Hey, do you still have that book? or a comment under a photo that doesn't really require their voice, or a sudden appearance in places you frequent. On the surface, it looks casual, almost accidental, but behind it is something more deliberate. Psychologists describe this as micro-reaching. It's the subconscious testing the waters, a way of saying, I still feel you, but I'm too proud, too scared, or too uncertain to admit it directly. And here's the philosophical irony. We live in an age that glorifies rationality, but human beings are profoundly irrational in love. Aristotle wrote that reason governs the soul, but passion proves otherwise. We bend logic when we miss someone. We invent reasons where none exist. So, when someone fabricates coincidence, when they craft unnecessary contact, it's not small talk. It's a breadcrumb trail, leading back to the truth. They still think of you. Sign for the digital shadow thought. Fourth sign belongs to our age of screens. It's quieter, more hidden, but no less powerful. They may never send a message, never call, never appear in your life again, but they watch. They linger in the shadows of your digital presence. They view your stories. They like your photos. Sometimes they even scroll back, wandering into the archives of your life as if trying to step into the moments they missed. Sociologists call this ambient intimacy, the ability to feel close to someone through digital traces, even in silence. And while it might seem passive, it's anything but. To watch someone's life unfold without engaging is a choice. It's a silent confession. I still want to know who you are becoming. But here's where philosophy deepens the point. Michel Foucault wrote about the gaze as a form of power. Being seen changes us. When someone shadows your digital self, they're exercising a kind of presence, shaping you even in their absence. They remind you that invisibility isn't the same as disconnection. So, if you notice the quiet gaze of someone from your past on your digital life, don't dismiss it. It's not random. It's the shadow of memory refusing to die. Sign 5. The mask of projection. And then there is the fifth sign, perhaps the most haunting of all. Projection. When someone can't stop thinking about you, they often process it indirectly. They create characters in their stories, in their conversations, who strangely resemble you. They rant about issues you used to debate. They write vague captions, sing songs at karaoke, post cryptic lines that feel oddly personal. Why? Because the human mind is a storyteller. Freud argued that the subconscious leaks through projection. We cannot fully bury what matters, so it resurfaces, disguised as something else. Philosophically, this reminds us of Plato's cave. Shadows on the wall hinting at a deeper reality. The projections aren't random. They're shadows of you, refracted through their attempts at moving on. If you listen closely, if you read between the lines, you'll hear yourself in their words, not because you're imagining it, but because they cannot stop narrating you into their life. Closing reflection, the archive of the heart hears the truth. Human beings are not built to erase. The mind doesn't delete it. Archives. Every person who mattered to us becomes a page in that archive, a chapter in the book of who we are. And sometimes, when the night is quiet or the world is too familiar, those pages open again. If you've ever wondered whether you still live in someone's thoughts, pay attention to the mirroring, the residue, the fabricated coincidences, the digital shadows, and the projections. These are not accidents. They are signs. Signs that you are unforgettable. But let me leave you with this final thought. Just as you live in their archive, they live in yours. And perhaps that is the beauty of being human. We carry each other forward, even in absence, even in silence, even when we believe we've let go. Because to be remembered is not just to exist in the past, it is to remain alive quietly in the minds of others. And maybe that's what immortality truly means.